Ugh. It's 115 degrees outside. I can't leave town. I can't even leave the house. I'm not even supposed to be here right now. I should be up in Idaho or Montana or Wyoming, exploring hot springs and tempting grizzly bears, but, well, unfortunately, I'm stuck here in Vegas. After my last expedition, I came home, and I generally only come home between trips for, like, 4 or 5 days. Just long enough to do my laundry and check my mail and get unpacked, get situated and repack. But this time, well, unfortunately, one of my boobs swelled up mysteriously on the 4th of July. And it was really painful. And I thought, uh-oh, I better get that checked out. Because actually the same breast, about 3 years ago, I had a lump in it, which, I went and got checked out and biopsied. And it was fine. It turned out to be benign. It was nothing. But, well, I still don't want to take any chances. So it was 4th of July. Obviously, I couldn't call the doctor because they were closed. And then the following day was a holiday, so I still couldn't call the doctor. And then I had to wait around till Tuesday. And it hurt. Like, it was painful, man. I mean, I don't even have much boobs to begin with. I mean, anyone who's ever seen any of my modeling pictures knows. But apparently I have just enough to give me trouble. Anyway, I finally got an appointment to see a doctor. And really, I just needed to get a friggin' referral to get a breast ultrasound. But you know how that goes. Insurance won't let you get an ultrasound unless you get a referral. And to get a referral, well, by gum, you got to go see a doctor. So first thing Tuesday morning, I called my crummy HMO. And I asked for, like, the first available appointment. I just need to see any OBGYN doctor, whatever. I just need to get a referral. And I didn't realize that my insurance charges me. Well, I pay a $15 copay if I go see a physician's assistant, or I guess I don't know if nurse or whatever, the people who aren't doctors that can write referrals. Well, I didn't realize it was $63 copay if I went to see an MD. Okay, $15 versus $63. That's substantial. Well, I didn't realize that until it was too late. I already, showed up at the doctor's office. Fortunately, I called first thing Tuesday morning. They were able to find me an appointment that same afternoon at a doctor across town. So I drove out there and went to check in, and the receptionist told me, she goes, "Oh, honey, did you know you have a $63 copay?" And she set me straight, but it's like, I wish I would have known that when I made the appointment. Would it have made any difference? Probably not, because I just wanted the first available appointment. That was the first available appointment. But lesson learned. And by the way, if you're watching this in another country, well, you're going to have to study up on the American healthcare system because it's a little bit wonky. Anyway, I saw the doctor and he was super cool, really nice guy. And he gave me a prescription for antibiotics because he seemed to think it was a bacterial infection. Like, he even mentioned MRSA, if you know what that is, MRSA. It's like a deadly bacterial infection. Well, I certainly don't want MRSA, and I certainly don't want breast cancer. But so I got the antibiotics and I got a referral to get a breast ultrasound. But of course I had to wait another 3 to 5 business days before I could even call to make an appointment at the ultrasound place, because insurance, they got all them paper pushers that I guess my copays are going towards the salaries of, have to push the papers in the right order in order to approve the fact that I need an ultrasound. So anyway, I waited, 3 business days, and then the very first second I was eligible, I called the ultrasound place and made an appointment. And, well, long story short, I'm going in tomorrow morning for a breast ultrasound, and it'll have been about 1 week since I had my initial appointment. 9 days since I experienced the issue. So I guess that's not really too long of a wait. I consider myself somewhat lucky. A lot of people had to wait even longer, during COVID. But in the meantime, well, I obviously really couldn't leave town. Yeah, sure, I had to wait around for several days. I could have gone on a short trip, but the antibiotics I was taking made me photosensitive, sensitive to light. So I was supposed to stay out of the sunlight. A. B, it's 100 and... this heat wave that's blanketing the West is insane. It's like, it's been 115, 116, 117 even here. You probably saw on the news where it was 130 in Death Valley, and I'm about to move there. So basically I was stuck in the house. Fortunately, I had a lot of videos in the can that needed editing and uploading, so I was able to get a lot of work done while I was here. Also, fortunately, the antibiotics seemed to work. The swelling went away completely. I mean, I would show you this if I could, but unfortunately society is so prudish, like things would come to a collapse if I showed you my breast. The swelling and the pain went away completely. Oh, what I was going to say earlier, it hurt so bad. Well, I guess it swelled up on the 4th of July, and then like the 5th of July, it was really swollen and painful. Like I went to dinner with some friends, or with a friend and some other people, and it was so painful I couldn't even put on I've got my baggiest old sports bra, and I couldn't even wear that. So I had to put these giant like nipple stickers over my nips so that they wouldn't poke through my shirt and offend everybody. You know what I mean? But anyway, the antibiotics, I guess, took care of that. And everything seems to be back to normal. You know, I don't feel any weird lumps or anything. Well, my breasts are kind of lumpy to begin with. I mean, sorry if this is TMI, but, well, I have what are called extremely dense breasts. I have extremely dense breast tissue. Like most women, you see, they have those nice, big, soft, puffy jugs. It's fatty tissue. Well, I don't really have a lot of body fat to begin with, let alone on my bony, bumpy chest. And so my breast tissue, I guess, is just really dense. And it makes it difficult, come to find out, I was doing some research, makes it difficult to read a mammogram because the breast tissue just looks white on the mammogram, and the lump would look white as well, so you wouldn't really notice it. So apparently if you have dense breast tissue, you're supposed to get a breast ultrasound every year anyways, which good luck getting my insurance to pay for that. Anyway, I didn't realize any of that. I knew I had dense breast tissue from previous visits. Like my gynecologist has told me, like my breasts are very cystic and dense, and she's asked me a couple times, like, do you drink a lot of coffee? Well, I used to, and since she asked me that, I tried to cut back on my coffee by mixing it with decaf. So I'd make it like 1/3 strength, and I would have 3 cups every morning, so it equals 1 cup of coffee. And then, yeah, I would a lot of times cheat and have a 2nd cup in the afternoon. So, 2 cups of coffee a day. Occasionally, I would have like, well, you know, I was putting green tea powder in this smoothie thing I eat for lunch, so that has caffeine too. I don't know. I guess I've been eating too much caffeine, so while I'm sitting here stuck inside the house, bored out of my gourd, I decided I might as well cut out caffeine while I'm at it. So you can guess it probably hasn't been a very pleasant week for me, okay? I'm sitting around trying not to worry about having breast cancer, trying to stay cool. I mean, I do have air conditioning at my house here in Vegas, but it's just so friggin' hot that even the air conditioning is struggling to keep up. And well, I finished editing all my videos, and I didn't just want to sit around and twiddle my thumbs, so I did a bunch of other, I took care of all kind of business that I could, but it still wasn't very much fun sitting around, not being able to drink coffee, not even being able to drink green tea. I mean, whew, this is like my 6th day without caffeine, but I have been drinking decaf, which has trace amounts of caffeine, and I started drinking kombucha, if you know what that is, in the afternoon as a little pick-me-up. And I didn't realize, stupidly, kombucha is made out of fermented tea. So most kombuchas have caffeine. So I have been getting trace amounts of caffeine, less than a cup a day. But I guess I'm sort of considering it tapering off. I'm weaning myself off. I gotta stop drinking coffee because I don't want my dang boobs to be so dense and cystic anymore. And I figure I better cut down on alcohol too, because I was researching, what is meant by dense breast tissue, and does caffeine really contribute to it? Because I'm like, maybe I just heard my doctor wrong. Maybe I could still drink caffeine after all. Maybe, just maybe. Well, no, I was on some website called densebreast.info or something, and they were saying that, well, not only does dense breast tissue make it harder to read a mammogram, it also makes you, gives you an elevated risk for breast cancer to begin with. So, and they did studies on the effects of coffee. Well, I think it was caffeine. Premenopausal women, it did tend to increase breast density or cysticness or whatever. Postmenopausal had the opposite effect, so I guess I just will wait a few more years and I can drink coffee again. But for now, unfortunately, no more coffee. Can't even go. I thought, like, well, at least maybe I could kill a day or two going hiking. I can go up in the mountains outside of Vegas. A lot of people don't realize there's a mountain range outside Vegas that has like a 13,000 foot peak. So they're high mountains. You can hike up around 9,000 feet and stay pretty cool. But then I remembered, I'm on these antibiotics. I can't go in the sun. Wah, wah. Stuck indoors for oh my goodness, this is like, well, let me see now. The last place I went was to the desert compound with my sister in my last vlog. And I got back here, I think, on the 3rd, 2nd or 3rd. I don't know, man. I've been here for like 10, 11 days, stuck in my house. I'm going nuts. Although I did kind of cheat a little bit yesterday evening. My friend Scott, the boozer Scott that you might remember from some of my videos, and I call him that affectionately if you're watching this, Scott. He went hiking with me at like 5:36 in the evening, because it doesn't get dark till like 8:30 here. So we went up to Red Rock Canyon, beautiful Red Rock Canyon, and it was real cloudy. A monsoonal thunderstorm was blowing in. So there was no sun. It was late in the day and the clouds covered it. And it was relatively cool. I mean, down here where I live, downtown Vegas is pretty far towards the bottom of the valley. So it's generally the hottest temperatures, especially when you consider the heat sink from all the asphalt. That adds a little bit, I think, a degree or two. But driving up to Red Rock Canyon, well, you gain a little bit of elevation. It's on the west side of town, just outside the west side of town. And it was like, I think it was 115 here, and up there it was only like 93. So it was considerably cooler, had a beautiful hike, and then we sat and watched the thunderstorm roll in. It was so dramatic. I mean, it was at a distance. We were safe, but man, it was cool. We just listened to some jazz and watched the lightning, and then it finally started raining on us a little bit, and it was cool. It was nice to get away from the house, if not just for one precious evening. But like I said, I've been trying to make good use of my downtime around the house by, well, taking care of business. Sorry my office is such a mess. You can see there's a lot of boxes piled up here. Well, that's because I decided I better start stockpiling boxes for when I move out to the compound, you know? A viewer sent me all these plastic bins, which will be super useful for moving stuff. And then another viewer sent these super useful, I've never seen these before. These are moving bags. They're giant, kind of like a reusable shopping bag. But they're meant for, you know, I guess putting items in for moving. So those will be useful too. And then of course all the boxes that all the stuff came in the mail, I'm saving all of those. And speaking of the mail, I did get one pretty cool package in the mail, but it wasn't from one of my viewers. No, and it wasn't even for me, really. I mean, it kind of was for me, but it was actually for my rig. Okay, I'm gonna brave the intense heat for just a minute or two and show you that I finally got my side view mirror replaced. Remember I had that sort of, what do they call it, redneck technology, or no, I just probably offended somebody. I used a milk jug and duct tape to fix it. Well, that finally got here, so I was at least able to take care of that. Unfortunately, as for my bumper, that's a really long story. Ooh, ow. Ooh. Remember how my bumper is all jacked up and it's all duct taped together? And, well, I wasn't going to replace it, but I sort of started to feel, well, I started to feel a little bit janky, and I started to worry that my car might eventually just fall apart if I hit one rock too many on one of them rough dirt roads I like to drive on. So I ordered a new to me bumper. I can't remember if I talked about this already in a video, but I went on eBay and I found a guy that was selling a used 2017 white Toyota 4Runner bumper. It had a few scratches on it. You know, it had obviously been in an accident or something. But it was like $200. I thought, that's a great deal. It's already painted. It's good to go. It won't take me much to put it on. A viewer even sent me the little snaps, the little plastic snaps to hook it on, and a paint pen so I can cover the scratches on it if I could get the dang bumper. Oh, it's so hot. I gotta turn the fan on me. Whoo, even just going outside for like that 1 minute was like, my feet are burning. Anyway, yeah, this bumper, check this out. I don't even know what to do. Maybe you guys can give me some advice. So I don't buy a lot of stuff on eBay, but this was on eBay. The seller is a guy in Houston. So I paid him the $200, bought the bumper, and he actually called me, which I thought was really classy of him, because he wanted to make sure I understood that it was a used bumper and there was going to be some scratches on it. And I said, that's fine. You should see the bumper I have now. And then he also wanted me to wanted to make sure I understood that he ships using Greyhound cargo. Okay, like the Greyhound bus. Apparently you can ship cargo on a Greyhound bus. I didn't realize that. But he just wanted me to, know that it's going to be kind of slow. It might take 2 weeks to get to me, but it should be there at the end of the month, which would have been the end of June. So I said, hey, that's perfect because I'm traveling around anyway, but I plan to be back at the end of the month. I'll get the bumper. I'll put it on. Everything will be great. Wrong. I got home at the end of the month and the bumper still wasn't here. So when I got a chance, I went on the Greyhound website. You can track a package, and I tracked it. And by now it was like 3 weeks after he had shipped it. And guess where it was? Dallas. It took 3 friggin' weeks for this dang bumper to go from Houston to Dallas. I could have walked there faster than this stupid bus is taking. Okay, so now it's been like, I think it's been a full month, 30 days since he shipped it. And apparently Greyhound's cargo policy is 10 business days is how long it takes to ship a package. It's been 21 business days now. If anybody from Greyhound is watching this, I've called them a bunch of times, and every time they just go, sorry, we have a backlog. There's just a lot of packages in Dallas, and there's only 4 or 5 buses a day that go from Dallas to Vegas. Well, it's not my problem. Like, your policy is 10 friggin' business days. Like, And I don't think it has anything to do with COVID. Because as far as I know, Texas is wide open after COVID. Like, they eased all restrictions. So I don't think they can use that old fallback excuse. Then I contacted the seller, the guy who sold it to me. I go, hey, I'm getting the runaround from Greyhound. I don't know what happened to this bumper. They say it's been in their back room in Dallas for 3 weeks. I think it might be lost. Is there anything you can do on your end? And he goes, oh, yeah. I texted him, and he goes, oh, yeah. I'll call him. I'll find out. Well, guess what? Never heard back from him either. I texted him again. Hey, have you heard anything? About a week later, no answer. He just blew me off. So then I thought, like, well, what do I do? File a claim with eBay? I mean, it doesn't seem right because it's not really the seller's fault. I mean, it's the friggin' Greyhound. They bungled the whole thing. So it's not the seller's fault, but it's also not my fault. So I'm like, do I get a refund? Like, do I take it to eBay and go, listen, I never received this item. I want my money back. And then hopefully like a month from now, 2 months from now, by the time I'm living in Death Valley, the dang bumper will finally get here. And then I would feel bad that I got the bumper and got my money back. But I don't know that the bumper is ever going to get here. So I kind of feel like maybe the seller should at least give me half the money back. Well, I don't know what to do with this. If anybody watching this has any insight, please let me know, because it's really frustrating. $200 is a lot of money for me, and it just sucks that they're giving me the runaround like this, especially with everything else that's going on with me right now. Anyway, I know that's like the ultimate first world problem. My bumper's fine, like the tape isn't going anywhere. A. B, I can't go anywhere myself anyway, so I don't even need a bumper. The car's just been sitting parked, baking and sweating and probably melting in the driveway this past week. The only place I go every day is to get food at Chipotle. That's like literally the only time I leave the house, other than my little hike last night. It's pretty grim. But one upside to all this is I was expecting to be up in Idaho, whatever, Wyoming, Montana right now. And so I was going to miss. My sister is going back out to our compound to have the internet hooked up, okay? The guy who sold us the house was supposed to leave it connected so we could just transfer the name on the account, and then we could avoid paying the $175 install fee. Well, this, I don't like to call him an idiot, but he turned off the internet, and so now we have to pay the cable company $175 to come out and reset everything up. But, whatever, $175. I guess it's not that much money. And so my sister was going to go out there because she knew I'd be traveling on my Rumspringa. She's very supportive of the fact that I want to go on my summer Rumspringa, which is what I'm calling my summer travels, where I was going to try to travel around and cram in as much adventure and fun and shoot as many videos as possible before I go back to the desert at the beginning of the fall to start working on the compound. So she was totally cool with that. She was just going to go out there by herself and deal with it. But now it looks like I should be able to go out there and handle it with her. I mean, she's going out there tomorrow evening, and my breast ultrasound is tomorrow morning at 8:40. So that should be done plenty of time so I can go out there and meet her. Unless, of course, they find something and need to do an MRI and then all this other stuff. And then who knows when I'll be able to get those appointments. I might end up being stuck in Vegas after all. Fingers crossed that doesn't happen. I mean, I remember when I had the lump in my breast a few years ago, I was still working I had a channel at the time. I just didn't talk about it on the channel because At that time, I didn't really feel, I wasn't sure if you were supposed to talk about personal stuff on an adventure channel. And I don't know. I guess I just sort of felt like it would be unseemly. So I didn't talk about it too much, but it was wild, man. I was pretty freaked out, and I was working as a model at the same time. Okay, a nude model. So I remember doing these photo shoots where I had to like look sexy and like jump around with my titties boinging and such as they are. And it was just like the last thing I felt like doing. But one cool photo shoot I did during that period, because it took about, it was like a 2-week period by the time they did the ultrasound. Well, I went for the first exam, then the ultrasound, then the MRI, then the biopsy, and then go get the results. It was like 2 weeks. And so I had all these photo shoots scheduled in there, and I had to try to get these appointments done, you know, in between my work and in between. Oh, it was tough. But one of the photo shoots I had was with this really cool photographer who had kind of a weird, gloomy aesthetic. And so he had me do these really weird poses where I was just sort of curled in a ball, wearing this giant body stocking, like looking miserable. Like he did this one where I had to lay on this lonely desert highway, just lay in the middle of the highway. And like those were the only kind of photos I truly felt like posing for. And even now, like they really capture the mood of that 2-week period for me. So that guy he didn't know. Of course, I didn't tell any of these people what was going on. I don't want to make it their burden. And in fact, I even considered whether or not to make this video. You know, I don't like to complain about my problems. And I know people watch my channel because I'm a distraction from, you know, the miseries of everyday life. But I posted about it on my Patreon 4 or 5 days ago. And there was pretty good response there. So I thought, I'll make a video. Why not? But anyway, hopefully I'll be able to go out to the desert and meet my sister at our compound tomorrow evening. And she's only going to stay for 1 or 2 nights because she's dog sitting. She's going to have a dog with her, and it's going to be really hot. But I don't know. First of all, I don't want her to have to go out there and be alone. You know, I want to be with her. Secondly, I'm curious to see if the measures that we took, like, I don't know if you remember from my last video, we stuffed things in all the cracks, weather stripped the doors. I'm curious to see if there's as much, if any, dust and scorpions in the house when we get back there. So that'll be interesting to see. It'll be wonderful to get the internet connected because then I can actually go on my phone. I mean, there's no cell signal where this compound is, okay? This place we're buying, or this place we bought, we already bought it. Yikes. There's no cell signal in that whole area. So the only way you can make phone calls is Wi-Fi calling. You know, and obviously the only way you can get online is if you have Wi-Fi. So it'll be really nice to not feel so cut off. Because, you know, when we were trying to figure out how the swamp cooler worked and all that, you take it for granted. You just go ask Google, like, how does a swamp cooler work? Well, we couldn't do that up there. We were completely cut off, and it was frustrating. So I think it's going to be just 100 times better having the internet. It's still going to be hot. Like I said, it was 1:30 in Death Valley the other day. Matter of fact, my friend Jenny, who was in one of my videos with me, Jenny Gives, she has a YouTube channel. She went out to Furnace Creek, the headquarters of Death Valley, on, I can't remember what day it was, 4 days ago, and, you know, took a picture of herself standing by the little thermometer they have there, and it said it was 134, which is a tie for the all-time record temperature ever recorded there. But I guess they have, like, all these weird, like, to record an official temperature, well, the thermometer has to be a certain distance away from this, that, and the other, and there's got to be scientists present, or, I don't know, they're only calling it 130. But if you check her channel out, she probably has video, too. It was 134 the day she was there. So it's probably going to be super hot out at our compound, because our compound's right outside Death Valley. But hey, whatever. Can't be that bad after what I've been through this week. Oh, and another thing I finally had time to get around to, since I had all this time at home, is, well, I'm doing one of those dreaded software updates on my Mac, which, yes, I'm still using my Mac. My PC doesn't ever see the light of day. It's miserable. I don't know how people use those things. Somebody sent me this really cool GoPro 360, like, I think like almost 2 years ago, and I haven't ever gotten around to figuring it out because I'm really bad with technology. But it's a camera that takes 360-degree footage. So let me see if I can try it out. Okay, let's see. Whee! It seems like it might be a very interesting technology. Oh, wait. I like holding my cell phone with this hand. It seems like it could be a very interesting technology if I figure out how to use it. And figure out the right, I'm sure there's like a really cool environment that it could be used in, like in a forest or out in nature would definitely be the place to use it. Not in my friggin' office, but well, as we already discussed, I can't do anything about that. Because like I said, I can't leave town and I can't even go outside. But it's weird. I randomly happened to read a quote that made me think differently about my situation right now. Like I said, I went to dinner last week with some people, and it was really interesting because, well, I hadn't been out to a fancy restaurant at a casino since before COVID. I made that video where my friends and I went to the steakhouse at Circus literally the week before COVID hit. And I actually have a really interesting story about my situation in COVID, but I'll have to tell that some other time. Anyway, I hadn't been to a fancy restaurant in a casino since then, and so it was kind of fun to get dressed up and go out. I met an old friend of mine, and he wanted me to meet his boss. He has this really eccentric boss who's, well, I'll just leave it at that. Well, they were really into the philosophy of Carl Jung, if you know who that is. I'm not really into philosophy much, or I wasn't ever into philosophy much, but I guess Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung were like the two titans of philosophy back in their day, and they were friends and kind of frenemies, like they would debate and argue, but I know about Freud, like all that Freudian stuff, but I never knew anything about Jung. And to be honest, I'm not sure, I'm 100% in his camp or not, but I did read one quote of his that really pertained to this situation. Let me see if I can pull it up and read it because I don't want to butcher it. Okay, so the original quote was in German, but in English it translates to, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." How about that? I thought that was a pretty cool quote. Like, goes back to the little shot of me looking out the curtains that I did at the beginning of this video. Looking outside, dreaming of all the places I could be right now, dreaming of all the places I could go. Dreaming my life away. I would never presume to even try to sing an Everly Brothers song. Oh my God, they were amazing. But who looks inside awakes, okay? That means you have to turn instead of, it made me think a lot about why I travel as much as I do. And I happened to notice another YouTuber, Unstoppable Morgan. I think a lot of people follow her that follow me. She did a video recently talking about what am I running from? Well, I've thought about that myself many a time. Like, what am I running from? Like, like I said earlier in this video, I only come home for 5 days between trips and then I'm gone again. I'm burning up gas like it's going out of style. I mean, am I afraid to stay put in one place? Yes, I am, I think, or I was. I mean, for a long time, I kept myself very, very busy. Before I started a YouTube channel, I was just busy all the time. I'd go to parties and bars and clubs and events, and I was always working trade shows and doing modeling and spanking guys and doing all this weird fetish stuff. Busy, 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 so that I didn't have to sit and think about where's my life going and what do I want to be? What do I want to do? Who do I want to be? Well, now it's more or less the same situation, only I'm not running around doing all those gigs and going to bars and parties. I'm just traveling around making YouTube videos. I mean, I don't know why I don't just drive someplace and stay there for 3 days. No, I go someplace every single day, and I get gas every day. I burn at least a tank of gas a day when I'm on a trip. Like, go, 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 go. And my excuse is, I need to shoot content for my channel. I gotta have 2 videos a week. But I think there's probably more to it. I'm just trying to distract myself from the greater existential issues of my life. And well, now that I've been sitting here unable to travel and distract myself, well, eventually I'm left here at the end of the day with nothing to do but think. Well, I guess it could be worse. At least I've got a brain to think with.